eyes, motherfucker.
Yes, guys, welcome to the most must-see show on Cardiff City World. Nay, is Podcast Nation. This is your Fleur Hour on another Thursday evening. I am joined by my brother from another mother. He is Stone Cold Steve Austin from Wish. Mr. Matthew Angel, how the devil are you, mate?
Yes, buddy. All good, my friend. All good. All good. Glad it's Friday tomorrow, but yes.
That's living the dream for these Thursday shows, mate. We have a Friday, not so long on the corner, and a weekend coming up as well. So, welcome, one and all. It's a great show we got coming up. So, Plan Attack is we'll talk from Cardiff for the first half hour, and then we are going to be joined by my friend, our friend of the show, Stuart Fleetwood, in about half hour's time. Talk about his game coming up on Saturday against Merthyr, high flying Merthyr. So can't wait for that. So make sure you get your questions and whatnot in ready for that as well. But we move. Let's go. So should we talk a little bit about the Burnley game and then a little bit about upcoming game against Sunderland away on Saturday, mate?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't manage to make it to the Burnley game on Tuesday. I had to watch it on the telly. A few things going on at home and issues with the car, etc. And yeah, it was just a bit of a nightmare Tuesday. And yeah, it was disappointing not to go and support the boys and that. But some things crop up and it can't be helped. But obviously, I tried to watch it as much as I could on the telly. Disappointing first half performance. I thought Burnley, dominated the first half, and then it was complete opposite. Then second half, I thought we controlled the game. I think we was very, very unlucky to come away with nothing out of the game. But it's just you go back to allowing teams of Burnley's calibre first half. Then we can't afford to give teams 2-0 head starts. I know, we played really well second half and, obviously that's a positive going into what we've got coming up now over the next few weeks. But, as a fan then, it's frustrating that we can't start games like that, especially home games, where we should be right up for it type of thing.
Yeah. Just hypothetical question. Do you think if Cardiff started the way they finished the game, do you think we take at least a point from that?
100%. I think we was very unlucky not to take a point the way we finished the game anyway. Obviously, Will Fish had a great opportunity. I think it was harder to miss the goal than it was to actually to score it, to be honest. But things happen. When we're in the position we are in, you tend not to get the rub of the green type of thing, but it is what it is. I look at it and you probably have lots of Karens out there who are still slating the manager, this, that and the other. But I think we've got to take positives from it. There's enough negativity around Cardiff City Stadium at the best of times. And granted, I know we didn't get anything out of it, but it was a better performance second half and something we definitely, need to look to build on. And, we go into Sunderland away on Saturday. Again, a very, very difficult trip. Sunderland are a very good side. Probably a game we're not expected to get anything out of. But hopefully they'll take confidence away from that performance on Saturday. And it's catch-22 in it. Is like the week before, everybody's whinging about the way we played against Hull, but we came away with 3 points. And I think we're at that point of the stadium now, in the sense in the season now. Sorry, that I think performances need to go out the window. We just need to battle to win games, pick up points. Even if I'd be quite happy to go to Sunderland Saturday and take 0-0. If somebody offered me that now, I'd bite both their arms off.
Yeah.
But I think, that's what I think now. I think performances can go out the window. Don't get me wrong. We all want to see lovely football and things, but points. We need points just to keep getting away from that relegation zone. But I think it's something we struggled with for a long time, though, mate. Is putting in a performance for 90 minutes is not something we've done very many times this season. I don't know whether that's because we're not fit enough. It's been granted that we've got a lot of injuries in the side and something we've struggled with all season. But there's my little rant and rave about it all.
Stop calling you Reece Evans now. I thought that, granted, I know I had a lot on myself on Tuesday, so I didn't get to catch a hell of a lot of it. But from my perspective, I thought that defensively they set quite well. Yes, there was an errors leading the goals, etc. And I think that they took massive. Yes, obviously they lost to Aston Villa, but I think they took massive confidence from the way they set up against Villa and how well structurally. Yes, we were very attacking against them, but they set up very, very well defensively, and I think that's a positive, mate. I think we need to be harder to beat as we teach our kids in our age group. First line of attack is from the defence, and if we are
I agree, but I don't know. Sometimes I think I just wish it's just frustrating from a fan's point of view when they're capable of doing a lot better. And it showed in the second half what we can do. Why don't we start games like that, especially at home as well? You can understand going away from home and perhaps being a little bit cagey then, should we say, at the beginning. But, we conceded another early goal in the first, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And, it just puts us on the back foot straight away, doesn't it? And, they got their tails up there and they managed to nick another one. We was lucky to get super signing for January. Yusuf Saleh managed to get another goal. He's gonna be a fan favourite straight away. He is already, isn't he? But I thought we were very lucky not to give away 2 penalties. If I'm honest, if they were against us, or if it'd been up the other end, we'd be shouting and screaming. I thought they were stonewall penalties, to be honest. But
do you think? Do you think it's a case of, and again, not to lean on our grassroots football, but do you think that we as a team maybe show too much respect to these better teams at times? And like you said,
possibly, but then again, is some of the best football we've played. Granted, we had a tune-in against Leeds and Burnley beat us at their place 5-0 as well, but I'd find sometimes we'll play our better football against the teams that are higher up the division, and we're a lot more cagier against the teams that are around us, as if we scared to have a go in case they break and they score against us. That Hull game says it all, really. We was lucky to get 3 points. I think everybody can be open and honest about that. But and I just, if we can do it against the bigger teams and put in performances like we did in our second half against Burnley, why aren't we doing it consistently week in, week out? And I think that's a massive, because consistency has been a massive thing for us. And like I said, with a number of injuries we've had, it'd be interesting, and this is not something I'd look into, really, to be honest. I think it's more size baby looking at all the different tactics and things. But it'd be interesting to see how many times throughout the season we have named the same starting 11. I bet you could count it on one hand. And I think, that plays a massive, massive part in it. How many different changes have we had at centre-back this year? Gutas, Darland, Gutas, Fish, Darland, Fish, NG, Bagan. I think it does play a massive part, and I know they're all professionals and they're all be able to step in and do a job. And don't get me wrong, they do. I've loved Bagan playing the back. I think he's got loads of potential, and I'm a real fan of him. NG, I think, have upped his game the last few weeks, if I'm completely honest. I think the last few performances, he's done really well. I thought Will Fish was hard done by not to get a start on Tuesday night. But, at the end of the day, the manager's there for a reason. He's getting paid the money to pick the teams. And, at the end of the day, I'll back him whatever the side he puts out there. But sometimes I don't get it all the time. But again, I'm just a fat, bald, lazy. Well, I wouldn't say lazy, but I'm just a fat, bald supporter who wants the club to do well, and I want Reza to do well. I really do. I hope we sign him up now in the summer. He's got an opportunity then to bring in some players he wants, offload some of the players that perhaps were brought in prior, and don't quite fit the bill anymore, and really have a good summer and build a squad that to the way that he wants to play the game.
Yeah, and just to swing back slightly, but the chocolate and change and things like that, it does make you wonder how fit some of these players actually are. The fact that he believes they can't do Saturday, Wednesday, etc. Because that's clear as day. There's a lot of players he sees that can't do that. And you can forgive Ramsey to a certain extent. But like Fish, loads of comments already about Fish, his exclusion from the Burnley game after his performance against Villa. And that was on Friday as well. So it does make you wonder, are the boys training too hard fitness-wise to make themselves too tired? Could they be too tired to be doing this?
I don't know. It's interesting. It'd be interesting to see what kind of, training-wise and fitness programs we do. Because let's be honest, I think this season has probably been one of our worst, really, for the amount of injuries we've had. I put it down, and I think we've discussed this on previous podcasts about our pre-season. Was it challenging enough? A lot of players didn't feature, and right up until the Bristol Rovers game, which was a week before the season. For me, I don't think we played enough challenging teams in the summer, in the pre-season. But again, who are we to think, we are just watching from the outside in type of thing. We don't see what goes on behind closed doors, etc. This is a phrase I've said a lot over the last couple of weeks, talking to, different people about Cardiff, etc. On paper, we've got a strong squad for me, but football games are not won on paper.
And
go on.
No, sorry to jump on you, mate. Those of you who may have seen it last night, I thought it was quite interesting watching, and I love the Cymru Sport show that Si does now. You're welcome, Si, for that cheeky little plug. But Kevin Ratcliffe was on last night, and I didn't quite know how to take it, because he said this is one of the worst Cardiff squads he's seen in a long time. And I disagree massively with that. I don't think it is. And whether we are too bent up in shape that, maybe we're too arrogant, but this is far from one of the worst Cardiff teams I've seen in my lifetime. And like I said, like you just mentioned yourself, Ange, this team, I think, is good enough to be not necessarily challenging for promotion, But this team, for me, is good enough to be in the top, well and truly in the top half of the table, I think, personally. And, I say, who am I to judge against the legend that is Ratcliffe, but I think personally, from my perspective, from what I've seen this season, that we are underperforming massively from what we got. We've had a lot worse squads do better than what they are now. And it just makes you think whether it's a case of a mindset, and I definitely think that's a massive thing, where it's a confidence issue. And we all know confidence is key. Whether you're a professional footballer or a professional in any other walk of life, confidence is massive. It's huge. And I just think that Cardiff, as a collective, as the players, have taken such a pounding at the start of the season. Their confidence is dead.
Yeah.
Personally, I think. And they got to get to the end of the season, and they have to stay up. And they'll
I think it'll absolutely cripple us as a club if we, went down to League One. I think I would say 75% of that squad will probably be gone. And then you're building in. Don't get me wrong, I think we got enough quality youngsters coming through. And obviously we wanted to talk about some of the youngsters that we have got in the squad and have perhaps featured the last couple of weeks a little bit later. But yeah, it'd cripple us financially. It's not I've always said Cardiff's a massive club, and I honestly believe we're underachieving for where we are. But given the circumstances and the current ownership and things, are we underachieving it? Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it?
100%, mate. And this is a few questions here we brought up that I know Fleets is coming on shortly to talk about his upcoming game, but we can raise with Mr. Fleetwood shortly as well about the confidence side of things and stuff like that. Because I just think, like I said, I don't think we've all got our blinkers on. I just think we are massively underachieving for what we are. I just
think, like I said, going back to the statement I said about on paper, we've got a really good side.
Yeah.
I think you look at some of the individuals we've got there. You think, how are we in the position we're in? I think Scott Parker said after the game on Tuesday night that, we're in a, I can't remember the actual words he said, but we're in a false positioning type of thing, which, it was all good and well somebody saying that, but we're in the position we are in because of how we've played and how we've approached games and this, that, and the other. Like I said, on paper, we've got a strong squad, I believe. A lot of good individuals, but, are we... Well, we clearly are not performing well as a collective unit for a variety of reasons. Like I said, the amount of injuries we've had, confidence, it all plays a part in it. And hopefully, like I said, it was a decent performance against Villa in the Cup. I was lucky enough to go up to that one. I thought the boys done really well against a really, really strong Villa team. I didn't expect them to go as full tilt as they did, to be honest. And when I was sat in the stand and that side come out, I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be one of them nights tonight. But you can't knock the boys' efforts at all. I thought, especially the youngsters. Louis Giles had a start at left back. Dylan Lawlor stepped in at centre half. And I wanted to have a quick chat about him tonight because I thought he was outstanding. I've heard lots of things about him. I haven't really seen much of him myself personally, but I just thought he looked like a seasoned pro. He was, he didn't look out of place whatsoever. And, moving forward, that's got to be a positive for us, knowing we've got them players coming through and, a number of other players coming through as well. So, that's a positive, but like I said, we need to stay in this division and bringing players through in the Championship rather than League One.
Yeah. And so going forward then to Saturday, do you think, well, how many of those do you think will be involved come Saturday?
Again, I think the manager's in a position where he's fighting for his job as well, isn't he? Obviously, we're fighting. So, if I'm completely honest, I think Lawlor might have another place on the bench again. Possibly Louis Giles as well. I don't know, depending on injuries within the squad. But I think it's going back to, and it's the similar type of thing that when Bullet before the season. Obviously, he got sacked at the start of the season, but at the end of last season, we was crying out for him to start playing the youngsters, and he kind of didn't, because we felt that he was fighting for his job and this, that, and the other. And I think we're in a similar situation this year in the sense that does he go for experience rather than the youngsters to try and get us over the line?
Yeah.
If he picked Lawlor on Saturday, I wouldn't be worried if he did. So for example, if he picked Lawlor and Will Fish to play together. I know Gutas have been offered a new deal today. Apparently, he's in his hands now, whether he accepts it or not. But I don't know if he's looking a little bit leggy. Perhaps I just get a little bit worried sometimes when teams get in behind us and. I don't know. Obviously, he got that red card, didn't he, against Plymouth? I just worry maybe now that he's starting to, lose a yard of pace. Don't get me wrong, I love him. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for us, but he's definitely got a mistake in him, as of quite a few of our players in the squad, if I'm completely honest. But I don't know. I just positive that we've got reinforcements there. We've got Darlan back training. We've got Lawlor. We can record thing on NG stepped in and done a job for us. Joel Bagan have stepped in and done a really good job for us. So if he was to go, is it a massive loss? I think it will be a loss. Don't get me wrong, but it's an opportunity then for some of the youngsters to put their hands up. Potentially bring someone new in. I think Will Fish is the future. I was disappointed he didn't get a start on Saturday, if I'm completely honest. But, what's he, 22, something like that?
Yeah.
So, you've got to look at players like that now and think, he should be playing week in, week out now for me. None of this, you can't play Saturday, Wednesday, or whatever it is. I don't know whether he picked up a niggle against Villa and perhaps that was the reason. I don't know. But, it's all hindsight, isn't it? Dip into the comments then, buddy. Let's get into the comments before we are joined by our man from Swindon. Swindon Submarine, as Simon thinged it last night.
Yeah, loads. So we'll start with the evening ones because that's nice. Serious evening, lovely. Graham, Jimmy, Vincent, welcome. Sue said, have you heard about Reza going? Reza tonight about going more attacking. Yeah, she's on about going more gung ho, apparently. But UFC have to believe it. Evening, Legends of CardiffCityWorld. Welcome, Matt and Rob. Reza wants to let the handbrake off, he said. I mean, what's your thoughts on that part for starters? Do you think that this should have pulled the trigger on that a little while ago? Or?
I think the attacking options we got within the squad is unreal, really. And I just think sometimes, I don't know whether it's, again, a lack of confidence. We just don't look as if we're up for it type of thing. Cian Ashford have come back into the side, and I absolutely love him. His work ethic going forward has been first class for me. I think he came off the bench against Millwall, didn't have a great game really, but I think the following game he ended up, he scored. But what I like about him, and others might agree, others may disagree, is the fact that if he goes forward, he loses the ball, he'll bust the gut to get back, and that's something that we haven't really had with our wingers over the last couple of years. I think Can has started to get it a little bit better before he got injured. But just, he's direct when he got the ball. He's not afraid to have a go. And that's what we want. We've come up against teams like Leeds, Villa on Friday, and there's so much pace and attacking wise. It's frightening. And what's the saying? Attack is the best form of defence.
Yeah.
Even going back to something like we did do with the grassroots football, our kids on a Sunday, they're so happy to go forward, but you've got to bust a gut to get back, and that's something we're trying to instill in the youngsters now. But yeah, I'm confident that if that's the way you want to go, then I think we'd be all right, type of thing. But yeah, let's see. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, and we shall see.
100%, my friend. So, my God, there's loads of comments. I need to stop doing them all at one go because I'm going to get lost otherwise. So apologies if I don't bring up all your wonderful comments. What we got? So Howell says, totally agree. Really stopped to a start. Sorry, beg your pardon. Turned in the first half. Very impressed second half. But let down by the slow first half. Yeah, it's just same old Cardiff this season. Graham, welcome, my friend. Robertson was definitely not game ready after subs. Ashford was an old sub. Yeah, what do you think about Ashford? There's a couple of comments later on down the line saying that he took a knock.
Yeah, well, my first thought was when he took him off, what is he doing? Like, I thought he was one of our best players, but apparently then he'd had an issue with his back, so you can, that's totally justified. If he's not right, get him off. You don't want it to get any worse, type of thing. Because for me, he's one of the first names on our team sheet now, like I said, just because of his attacking threat and his desire to get back and defend and help the, right back or right wing back end, should we say. Still got a lot to learn, don't get me wrong. But, I'm really excited to see him, potentially flourish over the next couple of years with us. Just like I said, hopefully that's in the Championship.
100%. What else we got? Yeah. Martin says, so much better second half, moved the ball quicker, much more positive.
Another negative for me, and I don't want to focus too much on negatives, is our set piece from like corners and things like that. Over the last couple of years, we've been known to score a lot of goals from, free kicks, corners. But our delivery from corners at the moment is absolutely shocking, and I don't know if that's something you've picked up or looked at, but beating that first man is bread and butter, innit? That should be your bread and butter, and getting that ball in the box is just it's poor for me. I don't know what other people's thoughts are, but even Rambo was struggling on Tuesday night against Burnley, and we don't always get them opportunities. And when we do, we've got to be better at it.
There's an interesting comment from Jeff I just seen just now. Where's it gone? Reno has an army issue now as well. After a back niggle, we can't play a full speed all match, unfortunately. Yeah. That's it. I just think this is a great time to introduce our beautiful guest in a second, but how much impact training can have on your availability to play wise. So I can't wait to actually speak to him about that, in fairness. What else we got before? I will bring you in now, my friend. We got you. Jeff says, I'm over from Ireland, putting my 100% record, watching the Reza men. A lot of people saying about Ashford having the back problem, so I'm not too sure how severe it is, mate.
No.
Have you heard anything else about it since? Or?
No, I'd imagine he's just a bit of stiffness, I would imagine. And as I said, they brought him off precaution, and hopefully he'll be right for Saturday, because he's a massive threat for us on that, no matter what side he plays, right-hand side or left-hand side. And like I said, with his work ethic of tracking back to help the wing backs or whatever we've got playing. That I think that's why I love him so much, and I think it's always been a thing with Cardiff that you might not be the greatest, or might not have the best ability, but if you've got that work ethic and determination to go above and beyond your role and type of thing, then the fans seem to take you more. And I'm not saying that he hasn't got the ability, because he have. I love him going forward as well. He's so strong and so direct. But yeah, I just love the fact that he'll track back and he'll put a shoulder into someone. He's not the biggest of guys, but he got a big heart and he's not afraid to put it about. And I love that. Love that about him.
Before we move on, comment from Richard Newell here. Welcome, my friend. Hi, Matt. We've had a problem with corners when the wingers are taking them. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he meant Winto.
What's that?
He meant Winto, not wingless.
Oh, I read it as when wingers were taking them. I think wingers should be taking corners anyway, in fairness. Yeah, it's mad though how you can go from being so prolific from set pieces. I know that the game has changed in how Cardiff play now is, not so direct as it was, but it seems to have dipped so massively, doesn't it, in terms of set pieces and things like that. It was Wimble, you did say, sorry.
No, you're good, but you're good.
Right.
Get him in, Ed. Get him in.
Let the fleet see the crowd. Please welcome my friend and yours, Mr. Stuart Fleetwood. There he is.
Hey guys, okay.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. I'm all right. I'm good.
You've had a tougher season. You must have had a tougher season. You've gone a lot greyer in the beard, mate, I think, since you last been on, yeah?
I think that's more down to 4 kids, a missus, a dog, a full-time job and football. I think it's all combined, guys, yeah.
Fair play.
Mate.
How are we doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, well, good, thanks. Yeah, not too bad. We've had a tough week in terms of football. We lost 3-0 on Tuesday to Walton and Hersham, who are a very, very good side, third in the league at the moment. So we had a night off training tonight to give the boys a bit of rest, obviously, because we've got a bit of a journey, to Merthyr on Saturday, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
100%, mate. So, obviously, we've spoken to you a couple of times over the season, which obviously we're massively grateful for. But overall, as the season obviously is coming very close to an end, would you say you're happy with how it's gone so far?
Yeah, we've got 9 games left now of our sort of regular 42 game season. So it's a long slog for non-league players. But we had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago where me and my assistant attended, and the board are really happy with where we were at in terms of they look at different things that we do, that budget and things like that. And I was a little bit disappointed because we've been inconsistent this year. Where we were 10th before the game on Tuesday. We then dropped to 13th. I think we're 9 points clear of the drop zone. I think we're like 11 points off the playoffs. So it is a really, really tight league. I think we're probably where we should be in terms of stature and in terms of budget. But I've got some talented players in my group, and I expect high standards as well. So I'm not ever one who's looking to just accept sort of mediocrity and be, we're not meant to be here, we're not meant to be there. We've got high aspirations as a club, and yeah, we've just been inconsistent this year. We've had some really good results and a really good run of form, and then we'll dip off a little bit. And listen, I think the players at my level, that's probably why they're at the level they are, and that's due to inconsistency. There's some really talented players who could definitely go and play higher, but it's getting that 5, 6, 7 games out of them in a row rather than 1 or 2 here and there. But that's the level you're dealing with. So at the moment we're comfortable. But like I said, we've got some tough games coming up. I think we've got to play 3 of the top 4 in the next couple of weeks, and then we've got to play the bottom 4 as well. So it's important that we pick up results against the team below us.
Would you put that inconsistency down to a dual level then, Stu? Because it's something we was talking about before you come on with Cardiff this season. Then, I think we were saying we've struggled a lot with injuries this season, and we can probably count on one hand the amount of times that he's been able to field the same 11. Is that something you struggle with regular or?
Yeah, it often differs, not so much down to injuries, but more so down to circumstances of players' lives, work commitments. Players are allowed to go on holiday if they're non-contract. Like we spoke about before, they're allowed to do that. And little things change here and there, and players go missing. We haven't had a massive turnover of players this year, which is good for consistency. I like to keep quite a small squad. I never really like having to leave players out the squad, so I'll have a 16 or a 17 in my squad, and everybody can start a game. I think that's really important, that you don't have you don't carry anyone. Anybody can start at any time in my team. But the inconsistency is down to the level. I've got players who've played at this level for 7-8 years. I've got ex-pros in my team who probably haven't quite made the grade just due to that consistency. And I think it doesn't help that at non-league you don't get any time. In a normal week, if we haven't got a midweek game, we'll train for 2 hours on a Tuesday and 2 hours on a Thursday, and that's it. So 4 hours of work is quite difficult. And it's especially difficult when you want to work on things and you just haven't got the time. So yeah, listen, you almost what you can expect from the players, and if they don't deliver, it can be down to a number of reasons. But yeah, those inconsistencies are quite common in non-league, and you always see the teams that are doing well at the top tend to have a good run of results. You'll see Merthyr on Saturday. They're unbeaten in 26, 27 games this season, top of the league. Looking like they're going to go on to do it. So. I think the team that is most consistent, it's not always the best team that wins the league, it's the team that's most consistent, and it plays a massive part in momentum.
What's the support like around your club? Have you got, we've spoken a little bit about it before, but do you have quite a big following for your home games and things like that?
So it's probably it's not as big as it should be. Now, Swindon is a big area. It's got quite a big population. Obviously, the main team are in League Two. Once in the Premier League. When it first started, which people tend to forget, it's a really, really big club, and we've got good ties with Swindon, and we'll offer offers. When they're playing away, that Swindon fans can come and watch us and stuff. It's more so down to our sort of marketing team and our board of directors to try and drum up as much interest as possible, and we've been building for the last few years in attendances. On a good day we'll get 300 at a game, which doesn't seem a lot, but our sort of ground, it does make a big difference. And depending on who travels to come and watch and what team we're playing away or we're playing at home, a Merthyr would bring 300-400 fans down as well. So it all depends on who you're playing. If there's Champions League on, if there's something else on and people want to go and watch that instead, it all makes a massive difference. But we've got a very tight-knit group of supporters. Like I said, to Merthyr, we'll probably bring, 30, 40 maybe to Merthyr. And it's people that I knew when I was playing for the club 7-8 years ago. It's a very family-orientated club. The people are really, really good people. And you'd love more people to be there. But the people who are there are the diehards and the ones who will be there through thick and thin. And they understand the game as well because they see so many games. Ideally, it's our job as a club to try and drum up more interest and get more people involved. We have loads of kids come and watch the game. We reach out to local schools and stuff, which is really important. We always have like mascots at every game from different clubs and schools and stuff as well. So yeah, it'll take time, but I think the more that we sort of the style we play, it's you'll see on Saturday our sort of style. We're quite attractive on the eye, and I'm hoping that brings people through the gates.
Just want to talk about you personally, if I may. Next season, has there been conversations? What's your contract status like? Are you definitely going to be there this time next season? Well, maybe not this time next season, but come the start of the season, you're going to be there?
Yeah, so I signed a 2-year contract in the summer. So in the end of last season, after we kept him in the league, me and my assistant signed a 2-year deal, which is quite rare at our level to have that sort of longevity. It is very much season to season. Every one of my players on the 29th of April, their contract runs out. So it's important that we sort of tie down the ones we want and let the other ones know pretty soon, so they can go and sort themselves out with other clubs. But as a staff, we're contracted until next year. The only reason that would change would be if a club from a higher level, showed interest, or that we saw opportunities elsewhere. And it happens. And I've made it quite clear to my chairman, who I'm really good sort of friends with because I played for him as well. That if I had an opportunity to go and coach or manage higher, that I would definitely want to look into it. So they understand that I'm not using this as a stepping stone, but I'm using this as a way to market myself as well. And it's really important that I want this to be my day job again. I've got a full-time job as well now, so it's important that I want football to be my full-time job again, because it's all I've ever known since I was 16. To be a full-time professional, and like you said, the beard's going grey, probably down to the being in the real world again. So,
hey, he said that, not me, my mate.
It's fine. Don't worry. I'm 40 next year.
I'd rather have a grey beard, but than a bloody ginger one. So you're all right.
Do you ever was it ever an option? Sorry, Ains, I know I'm jumping all over this, but was it ever an option for you to do player coach or?
Yeah, so funnily enough, there's some ties with Merthyr on Saturday. So Paul Michael, the manager, was actually my manager when I was at Yates. He signed me as a player, first of all. I think I was 32, 33 maybe. And then it was the COVID season. So the season got cut short due to COVID. And I went on then as a player coach the season after. I was taking little bits of training and sort of doing it that way while I was doing my licenses. I've also been an assistant manager for Yates under Peter Beadle, the ex-Hereford manager, and I was sort of in the playing squad as well. It's so difficult to do both. I don't understand how people can do it. I've obviously played a few games this year in sort of local cup competitions when we've had to rest my own players, but I could never be a head coach and a player at the same time. I'm more drained as a coach and manager during the game than I would ever be playing. And I'd find it hard to sort of tell somebody how they're going wrong, and then I'll get on the pitch and do it wrong myself. I've got no intentions of ever being a sort of starter or a full-time player again. I'll never retire because you never know. But I think those days are probably behind me now.
Hey mate, I'm sure Bellamy will still give you a shout.
Hey, I take that one. Yeah, that'd be all right, mate. Yeah.
A quick question I want to ask, Stuart, if you don't mind. I'm jumping in there, Rob.
Mate.
You mentioned there about a lot of players, all your players' contracts will end on the 29th of April. Is that a difficult conversation, and how have you found having those conversations with players? Is that something you are involved in yourself, or is there somebody behind the scenes then? Yeah,
so I run everything. So it's in terms of playing staff, budget, everything I'm in charge of. And non-league, that's very, very, that's common. You have to do everything. It's in terms of training, sorting out bibs, balls, everything. So it was the first season I had to do it last season. At the end of the season, I had to do a sort of release and retain. Our level is a little bit different because obviously I had the conversations with the players I was going to let go. And I'm really big on honesty. I'm honest with every single player, throughout. I always name the team on a Friday, which is probably quite rare for non-league, because I want to give them opportunity if their families are going to come down, or whatever else they can get it out of their head or their system that they're not playing or whatever else. And I'll message each individual player. I'll send them a voice note. I'll ring them to let them know why they're not in the team. Listen, they may not agree with me, but I'm being completely honest of what I think. I think players appreciate that. It's what I appreciated as a player. There's nothing worse than second guessing a manager and thinking, oh, why is he doing that? Or why has he done this? I'll just say it because it gets all the elephants out the room. If I feel somebody's not, doing well enough, I will say, listen, I don't think you're good enough to start at the moment. And it's just me being honest. Like, because they may not agree with me, but at least I've got it out there. So in terms of having those conversations end of season, I always let the players know who I'm not going to keep first, because I think it's really important as a person to give them the opportunity to go and get another club that gives them the most time possible, rather than keep people hanging on or wondering what they're going to be doing or anything like that. And then we can offer players obviously contracts and deals, but they actually can't sign anything until I think it's like the second or third week of July, because it means nothing. Players can agree and say, yep, no problem, I'll be your player. But if they get another offer between that time, they're free to go. So they actually can't sign any contracts or any deals until 3 weeks into pre-season. So there's a lot of trust involved, and there's a lot of things that you need to, like you said, believe people's word and take them on face value. But it's difficult conversations to have, because you're ultimately.
Yeah, I suppose that's difficult for you, was it? Difficult for you as a club then, because obviously this is in the shop window and.
Yeah, as much as possible. Like I said, you want to give them that opportunity to find elsewhere. And I'll always say to players, if you want me to ring around, put your name out there. We can, send an email to all the clubs at this level to say that we've released you or let you go, and give you every opportunity. And if any manager ever rang me about a player, I'd never talk them down. I'd always say, no, great kid, great person, can do this for you, can't do that for you. Again, I just think it's about being open and honest. And I think players appreciate that more than anything. And it's something that I really believe in. It's something that I liked as a player. I was never got on with anybody who sort of didn't tell you anything or kept it hidden or avoided eye contact. I think it's really important to just have those conversations. I think it was the Brian Clough comment. Was it a quote when he said, they'll have an argument with a player and they may disagree, but at the end they'll agree that he was right. So I'll try and take that one on board. But it's important to be as open and honest as possible, and it's something that I sort of pride myself on as well.
So, during your playing career and things like that, what was it like to be in that situation yourself? Well, or was you in that situation yourself where your obviously contract's running down, it's coming to an end, etc., and it's a case of, what do we do now? Where am I going to go now, etc.? I'm waiting, obviously, for that call to say, yes, Fleets, we're going to keep you on because you're mint. Let's keep you going for another couple of years, or we keep you waiting.
Yeah, you tend to get a bit of a feeling as a player. If you're not playing as much coming the end of the season, you probably know that you're not going to be kept on. For most clubs I've been at, it's probably 2-3 weeks before the season ends. They will sort of let you know that you're probably not going to get offered something new. I think even at non-league especially, but even at league level, sort of League Two now, conference level, players will only sign 1-2 year deals at a time. It's not these 3, 4, 5 year deals that you see at Championship and Premier League level. So there's not really that much.
7 years against Chelsea.
Exactly. There's no security there, really. It is. And people always say, oh, you've had 17 clubs, and I'm like, well, it's because it was a year at a time. I played for 22 years, so 17 clubs isn't bad. But it's like I said, I prefer the manager to just tell me. At least that way I can get myself sorted. And I used to have an agent when I was at Cardiff and Hereford and Charlton and Brighton and stuff, who basically did all the work for me. And then after that, I just did it myself. I'd ring around managers, I'd ring up clubs, text people. It's very much word of mouth. Are you looking for anyone? I'm available, that sort of thing, and do it that way. So it's difficult to hear, because nobody likes to hear that you're not wanted. But also I think if players are really honest with themselves, they can sort of tell whether they deserve to be there or not. And sometimes it's just because your face isn't fit. It's not because of your ability. It's just that, that may not be the right situation for you. So I think it's important that the players sort of take it with a pinch of salt and not. And when I did my A license, we had Warren Gatlin was the guest speaker for our A license, and he was talking about how he got selected for the All Blacks, and he got actually turned down 3 times before he got selected. And his dad sort of said to him, "It's just one person's opinion, and that is it." And I sort of try and teach that to my boy, because he's like I said, he's at Forest Green at the moment, and a few of his teammates have been released, for next season. but it's not the end of their journey. It's completely different. Hereford released me in League Two and then signed me back for 60,000 2 years later. So bad business on their part, but again,
that's where they've gone to the shit.
There you go, exactly. So it's only ever one person's opinion. So it's important not to take it to heart, but just understand that football is a business, and it is a ruthless business as well.
I just want to bring up a question here from Paul, if I may. Matt, can you ask Fleets if a team of players keep having the same injury like hamstrings as most Cardiff players seem to be having at the moment, would Fleets put it down to poor pitches, or was it a training issue?
Yeah, good question. Probably a question for a sports scientist, but no, it's. I think if you're having more than two, I think you've got to start looking at your training. I doubt the pitches will be poor at any championship level. With the facilities that everyone has now, I think you probably have to look at your training schedule and your loading. And I'll be honest, that probably falls on the sports scientists and the fitness coaches. I understand that managers have their own style, and everybody will have read about how Bielsa did things at Leeds, and for 18 months they were absolutely unbelievably fit, but then they just lost steam. They just had nothing left because of the intensity of their training, and what they did, and the amount of input they're putting into training was frightening, and eventually it does catch up with you. And I think there's been a lot of clubs. I think Arsenal used to get a few, and I know Newcastle have had a lot of hamstring injuries, and I think it does, ultimately come down to training, and it's difficult at an elite level because sports scientists run that side of it, and they've all got the GPS vests on, and they know how much people have run. But at the end of the day, it's down to players. If a player says, "I'm tired today, I need to be on the bike in the gym for half hour," then I think you've got to take that on board. And I don't think that happens often at an elite level now. I can usually tell by a player as soon as they walk in my dressing room for a training session and they've had a 2-hour drive or they've had a tough day at work, and I'll go, "Listen, do the warm-up, do the ball drill, off you go." It's little things like that, and players feel like they can be honest with me, and I think that goes a long way. Like tonight, I've given them a night off. We had a tough game Tuesday. We've got a bit of a journey on Saturday, so to drag them all in again tonight to not really do a lot, because most of the squad will be on recovery after playing Tuesday anyway. It's probably better up that you put your feet up. The lads who need something will go to the gym, do a run, whatever they need to do, and sort of post it to our group and let us know that they're working. And I think you give them a little bit of leeway, and you feel like you can trust them. Then I think it's important for their bodies and stuff. But yeah, overloading training is probably going to be the most common answer, like I said, for hamstring injuries and stuff like that. And some managers won't change, some will. But I think, if you get more than 2 sort of muscle injuries a season, then I think your training is probably going to be the issue.
Quick question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What does the match day look like now then for you Saturday? Obviously you've got to drive up to Merthyr. So what time do you all start out, and what's the rigmarole that it entails? Yeah,
it's we'll have a coach to Merthyr. So anything sort of longer than an hour and a half from Swindon, we'll have a coach. So we've got players based in Swindon, Bristol, Gloucester, Cheltenham, a couple of London boys. So we'll have a meeting point for most. So me and my assistant will probably just go straight there. It's not too bad for me. It's about an hour and a half, so it's not too bad. So we'll drive up together, me and my assistant, and then the lads will all jump on the coach. And then I've almost done all my work beforehand. So even tonight in our WhatsApp group with the players, we've got footage of Merthyr. I personally ask for their opinion first. So I'll say, "What trends have you noticed?" Just to make sure that I'm not drip feeding it into them all the time, because I can see it, my assistant can see it, my coach can see it, but I want to know if the players understand it as well. So they'll look into it, they'll come back with feedback and say, "Oh, look, he does this," or "Have you always noticed he always goes on his right foot here?" and little things like that. And I'll often just tell them, just watch the player in your position or who you're going to be playing against Saturday, and see if there's any trends that you feel like you can get at, or you can you feel he's weak or he's strong at. So that's all been going on tonight. So there's a lot of dialogue with that. And then on Saturday, if I'm on the coach as well, I tend to bring a few lads down to my seat and get the tactics board out and just say, "Right, this is what we're going to do." I'll name the team tomorrow on a Friday, like I said, 24 hours before the game. to give everybody, give everybody that opportunity to either get ready to play or be prepared that you're not going to play. I think it's important. So everybody knows exactly what the squad is, what the team is. When I get into the changing room, the lads will do their bits. I'll have literally a 5-minute talk with them and just reiterate what I've already told them. I think anything longer than that, you can lose the players. I don't need to motivate them. You're playing top of the league away. If you're not up for that one, then listen, you don't deserve to be in football. So I don't need to motivate them in any way. And literally that'll be all I do. I might have a couple of little individual conversations here and there, but other than that, it'll be very relaxed. We'll talk about, I'm sure, what football young lads talk about, and you just try and relax as much as possible. Luckily, I've got a great coaching staff. My coach Matt Tunley and my assistant Dan Gillespie will take the warm-ups, do all that. I'll be wearing some Rascal gear on the sideline, so I won't want to get dirty or anything like that. I just leave it down to them, and I'll literally just go and sit in the bar, and I will just watch football or chat with fans, and just try and stay as exactly. So I'll just be as relaxed as possible, and it's the bit I hate most is that 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock, because I've got nothing to do. I've already done all my work. I'm bored. And I just have to, I just try and talk to people. I'll find
something to do, Fleets, mate. Don't you worry.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, we'll end up doing a podcast now. Yeah,
and we're live.
But no, it's almost all the work you put in for the Saturday. I don't think you should have too many messages to send out. And then obviously the game starts, and away you go. You go into autopilot.
I think Merthyr will have a decent crowd there as well, because they do something very similar with Cardiff season ticket holders and Swansea. So Simon done a show last night, and Johnny Owen was on there. Obviously, strong links with Merthyr, and he was saying the crowds they get there now. I think they took 500 away fans down to Tottenham last week, didn't they? So
they've got a really big following. I think they've got the biggest sort of attendance this year on average, 1,400, which is monumental, for a really small area in terms of, geographically. It's they get really good support, and they had great support when I played there. When I played there, unfortunately, it didn't end great because they had all the money issues and everything else, and all the players had to be let go and stuff like that. So it was a bit of an untimely finish there when I played there. But they've got fantastic support, and it's a real big club, and they've been one of the best sides in the league for the last 2-3 years. So listen, I've got friends there. Listen, I really get on with the manager and the assistant, and I've got players there who I played with. So it's there's a lot of ties there. But then obviously after the final whistle, you all have a beer, and like you said, the best team will win.
Question from Suze in the chat. What's your biggest win and loss this season?
Biggest win would have been, we beat Poole 5-0 at home. It was a weird week, that one, because we drew them in the FA Cup. So we drew them 1-1 on Saturday. We then lost 2-0 to them away on the Tuesday, and then we beat them 5-0 on the following Saturday. So we played them 3 times in a week. And they're actually in the bottom 4 now, so I was quite happy that we'd taken 3 points off them instead of an FA Cup run. So we won 5-0 against Poole. We lost 4-1 to Merthyr when we played them at home quite early on in the season. So that was probably our biggest loss this season. But we've scored a lot of goals this year. We've conceded quite a few as well. There's going to be goals on Saturday, put it that way. We don't sit back. We try and play. We try and dominate possession, and we score a lot of goals ourselves. So I'm not one of those managers who will come and park the bus on Saturday, which some teams do against Merthyr, and it's probably something that they struggle to break down sometimes. But I think you're going to probably see a bit of a basketball match on Saturday, where both teams will be going for it. It'll be a good game of football, put it that way.
In regards to, I would imagine the Merthyr fans, people travelling up from the valleys will make it quite a hostile environment then for some of the players that, like you said, perhaps are only used to playing in front of 300 or 400. So potentially there might be a couple of thousand there on Saturday. Is that conversations you have to have with players as well, and not to get overawed type of thing, or is that?
Yeah, I think that the players that I've got at this level now, I've got a couple of young lads in my team. I've got an 18-year-old who started on Tuesday. I brought a 16-year-old off the bench on Tuesday as well for his debut. So yeah, listen, it's going to be a good one for them to be involved in. And listen, embrace it, because I used to love it. The bigger the crowd, I used to thrive off it. I used to thrive off, the stick, the banter, whatever it was. If they're not being hostile towards you, it's because you're probably having a bad game. It's that's the way I used to think about it. If they're having a go at you, it's because you're doing well. So yeah, I look forward to it. I love that energy, and I think if you struggle to play in those environments, then probably football's not for you, because it really gets you going. And listen, we'll try and silence the crowd. Like I said, we like to keep possession. We play a lot of passes, and the longer we can keep the ball off Merthyr, the less chance they've got of scoring. So I'm hoping that we sort of make that crowd a little bit quieter, and it's important not to let them get on top of us, because like I said, that crowd is a big factor as well. So yeah, it's a learning curve for some of them. Some of them have played in front of more, some of them haven't. So listen, just go and embrace it. These are the sort of games that it's easy to get up for. It's when we went to Marlow last week and they were bottom of the league and there was 100 people there, and it was like a charity event. It was like people having a barbecue on the sideline and stuff. It was, it's completely different. And there is a big gulf, from the top to the bottom in this league in terms of finances and crowd attendance and stuff like that. But listen, go and embrace it. We've got to go and play Havant and Waterlooville in a couple of weeks, who've, they've been a really big club in the past as well, and they'll have a big crowd and stuff like that. So, we played against Charlie Austin last Saturday when he scored against us for Tottenham. So, playing in League Two literally last season. So, it's a great learning curve for my players, and yeah, something that I really enjoy though. The bigger the crowd, the more hostile, the better.
Do I need to bring my boots on Saturday just in case?
Mate, always bring them just in case, mate. You never know.
I'll sabotage Merthyr.
Yeah, you always pack them in your bag just in case, mate.
Yeah, man. Oh, mate, I can't wait. Do you know what?
Last thing from me, only because my cousin does a podcast as well, Stu, right? And It's called The Disturbed District. It's the unofficial voice of Merthyr Town Football Club. And obviously they were talking tonight. They were your name was heavily mentioned, I believe. They done a little bit of a quiz at the end to see how many of the hosts could name some of your previous clubs. So it might be something interesting for you to have a little listen to. So it's on Spotify, The Disturbed District.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah, I said, well, hopefully it was only an hour show, because if they'd listened to all the clubs, then it might have gone on a while. But, it was. Listen, I had some great times at Merthyr. They're really good people, and it was unfortunate the way it ended, really. Just because, like I said, it was almost pushed out because they couldn't afford to pay us anymore, and it didn't help that I went to Redditch in the same league and then scored against them on the last day. So. And I'm not one of those players who doesn't celebrate a goal either. So I don't think it went down too well. But
I just think, considering, like you said, the difficulties they had to see where they are now, just from a Welsh perspective, and for the town, for Merthyr, really, what that 2,000 or 3,000 or 1,500, 2,000 fans that's going there, what that brings to the club, to the local community is just good to see, considering they were on the verge of going bust.
Yeah, exactly that, and that was the case. Obviously, when I was there, we literally got told on a Thursday before a game Saturday, I haven't got the money to pay you anymore, and we were like, well, listen, we'll get Saturday's game out of the way and we'll talk. And literally, none of us played in the game. No fault of our own. I think they lost 12-1 away at Chesham because they had to play the youth team. And it all went a little bit downhill from there. But yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, they're obviously going to stay at this level now. Obviously, you might have seen that they got offered, I think it was 6 million, wasn't it, to go into the Welsh Premier League. And to be fair, they're a good side. They've done well in it as well. But yeah, they want to stay in the English football pyramid, and like I said, fair play to them, because they've got a really good manager in Paul. And they've definitely got the fan base and the identity to go and be even bigger.
Quality. Do you know what? Before we finish, prediction for Saturday, can we get one from you?
There'll be goals. So both teams to score if you're a betting man. No, listen, in all honesty, I think that I don't believe in it's a free hit. I hate that shout. It's, they're a team in our league. They're in this league on merit. So are we. We're not playing Barcelona or anything like that. It's a team in our league. So anything can happen. But I think we'll have to score first, if I'm honest. And I think we'll have to catch Merthyr on an off day for us to get a result. I can't see a draw being out the question, so I'm going to go 2-2. So I think that on our day we're good. But we also know on Merthyr's day they're very good. So like I said, I think it's going to have to take us to play really well, and I think it's going to have them to have an off day. But I think if we score first, there could be some points in it for us. So yeah,
quality.
Obviously, they've got an artificial pitch up there as well, Stu. And what's your thoughts on artificial pitches? And obviously, perhaps at non-league level, it's great because games still go ahead, type of thing. But what's your initial thoughts? Sorry,
we've got quite a few in our league. I think there's probably 6 or 7 at least in our league at the moment. Merthyr's is a good one, and I class it as a good one because it's flat. We've got ones in our league that are on a slope. Which is hard to believe, I know. But yeah, I never minded them as a player. If they're wet, they're fine. If it's a warm day on Saturday and it gets dry, it's a little bit sticky and it's a little bit tough to play on. The ball doesn't move as freely. It bounces weird. And it's actually really hot on the pitch because of the black rubber underneath. It really sort of radiates heat. Your feet are absolutely on fire. But no, we train on a 4G, so it's not like we're not used to it. The pitch is excellent down there. It's a good quality one. But yeah, I don't mind them. I never minded them as a player. A few lads sometimes get backs or knee issues, due to it, mainly down to age. Luckily, I never suffered from that. But I think it's good because it gets the games on, and obviously they make a lot of money outside of the first team matches on it, people training on it, kids getting on there, whatever else, booking it out, hiring it out. But it's more of I think for teams at our level, it's more of a money maker rather than let's get games on and let's have a good quality surface. I think it's more of we can really invest in a pitch like this, and it's going to pay us back tenfold. So it's a leveler if you're not used to playing on them, but I think everybody at our level is, because there's so many pitches at our level that are like it. So we'll be quite used to it. Just praying for a little bit of rain and it'll be nice and zippy for us.
We've had it this afternoon, mate, so fingers crossed.
It always rains in Merthyr, mate, always.
Mate, I'll be there. I'll take a bottle of spin and I'll put a water, mate.
Little watering can.
I got you, Fleets. I got you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Angel, what's coming up?
What's coming up? Friday, I'm not sure. Saturday, I'll be back with Reese David Evans for the 1927 podcast. Obviously, to review the Sunderland Cardiff City game Saturday. Very difficult trip away to Sunderland. Again, I think is one of them ones like Fleets have just mentioned. Sunderland on their day are a very good side. I'd take a point now if they offered it to us, if I'm completely honest with you. But I think the Championship is one of them leagues, and we've said it week in, week out, on the day, anybody can beat anybody. And I think we've got to go there Saturday and not worry about too much about what they're bringing to the game, is concentrate on what we can bring to the game. If we can, play like we did in the second half against Burnley on Tuesday, I think, within a shout with picking something up and getting a result from the game. But I'd take a point if it was offered to me now.
100%. On Friday, tomorrow, we got a Pan preview show tomorrow night. So Pan of Chocolate is doing a show tomorrow night. So make sure you look and check that out. I'm not sure what time it is, but obviously make sure you like, subscribe and share on all those shenanigans, and you will just see what's the crack is with that. Why, I know you're busting to say something else now.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, Sai obviously wanted me to mention about making sure people who tune in subscribe. I think we're not far off 1,000 subscribers now, so want to hit that magic number. So if we can, like and share. Fleets, if you can do it on your socials for us, buddy, that would be much appreciated.
No problem, mate. Yeah, no worries.
You're part of the furniture now, and you're part of the team.
Mate.
I know, yeah, might as well be, yeah.
Mate, I'm going to... can I get away end then on Saturday?
To be fair, I don't even think there will be an away end, mate. I think
that's the good thing about
segregation for 30.
That's a good thing about non-league, though. I think because Johnny Owen was saying that last night. You can have a beer at the football. You can stand by whoever you want to.
So I can stand.
Just be careful while you're shouting, I suppose.
Well, no, it's I said I often have it with fans, and like they're quite close to my dugout and stuff, and they'll say a few things, and I may say a few little things back, and they sort of look at me as if to say like, you can't do that. I'm like, it's non-league, mate. You can do what you want, mate. No problem.
Do you give the old, do you know who I am?
No, not at all. No, definitely not. So yeah, it's more so of I've had it with a few people this year, and they've been a bit shocked with my replies. And I'm like, hey, listen, this is non-league. You're going to stand there. You're going to get some back as well. So.
Class.
If you're big enough to give it, you've got to be big enough to take it back.
There you go, mate. There you go.
Fleets, top man. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, buddy. Wish you all the very best on Saturday.
Thank you, mate.
Fingers crossed. Well, I'm not sure. Hopefully, I'll be able to pop up as well. But
good man.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out for us, buddy. Wish you all the very best.
No problem at all.
Much love, man. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. What a top man.
I love the guy, honest to God. He's mint, like, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah. Apologies in the chat, guys. It was so busy in the chat, and obviously me and Rob are thing of keeping Fleets entertained as well. So apologies if we haven't been able to read out any messages. They were coming through thick and fast. So big apologies there. But like I said, when you've got a guest on, it's difficult to keep tabs of the chat as well in it. So I think going forward, I think there's a super chat option where you can things, so your comment will stay there type of thing. So if anybody does want to do that in future, it supports the channel as well.
I on every word he says, mate. Like I do get a fan by him because he's such a nice guy.
He speaks so well as well, doesn't he?
He's wicked, mate. And like I said, even if you can't go Saturday, which is fair enough, I'll drive up and you know me, I don't like to drive to these events, but I will drive and I'll try and pop along because he's been great, mate. He's been on the show now for 3 times now, I think. So he's a very good man. So much love for Fleets, mate. He's a good guy, very, very good guy. Right, it's 10:15. Just get the fuck out of here.
10:15. Last thing for me, you can see the thing going across the bottom for tickets for the Loovens night. So there are still a very small amount of tickets left. If anybody hasn't bought them yet, I do advise you getting them very quickly. If nothing else, and you're not looking forward to meeting Loovens, you can meet me and Rob and Rhys David Evans. That's worth a tenner on his own, isn't it? And if you do want to support the channel, you can do it via Ace Podcast Nation or the Cardiff City World YouTube channel. For the price of a cup of coffee a month, you can support the channel. It allows Si then to create content 7 days a week by the fans, for the fans, no star
as well.
What's that about?
I said, and eventually pay us as well as Scabby Bagger.
No star, pub.
I'm a flower.
I'm not going now. I'm going to keep us on it.
Yes, guys.